Fala galera, eu sou Igor Miranda e hoje o papo é com o MCFLY. Dan Jones e Harry Judd, dois integrantes da banda, toparam conversar rapidinho comigo sobre o novo disco, Power to Play, que está sendo lançado nessa sexta-feira, dia 9 de junho. Esse álbum está sendo promovido na imprensa, até nas redes sociais, como um trabalho mais orientado ao hard rock, ao glam metal dos anos 80, uma mudança até brusca, de certa forma, de direcionamento por parte do MCFLY, que é uma banda conhecida por uma sonoridade mais pop-punk. Foram até rotulados como uma banda emo aí nos anos 2000, que foi o período de auge deles. Não dá pra dizer que é um disco 100% hard rock, também não dá pra dizer que é um disco 100% pop-punk, mas tem um pouco dos dois ali no meio. Tem algumas músicas ali que os metalheads de plantão podem até gostar, como Land of the Beast, que é uma faixa que a gente discute bastante ali ao longo da entrevista. Ela começa com a sonoridade meio Rush, depois descamba para um power pop da década de 70 ali, bem carismático, bem divertido. Eles têm um tempero pop muito presente no som deles, mesmo quando eles buscam uma sonoridade mais pesada. Mas esse disco se diferencia por ter mais guitarra, por ter mais solos, por ser mais orientado aos riffs. Esse é outro assunto que a gente aborda. E os fãs mais ferrenhos podem estranhar um pouquinho, pelo menos a partir dos singles, né, das músicas que já foram liberadas ali como prévias, mas ainda soa como um disco do MCFLY. Achei bem legal, mesmo sendo um grande conhecedor da banda, um grande admirador da sonoridade mais clássica deles. E no mais foi um papo bem legal, espero que vocês gostem. Se liga!
Thank you for your time and congratulations on the new album. I'm a big hard rock and heavy metal fan, and I have to say that I really like the album. It's funny because I got to know MCFLY when I saw you guys doing a great cover of Tin Lizzy's The Boys Are Back in Town about 15 years, 16 years ago, I don't remember when. But why has it taken so long for you to explore these influences more fully, must say?
That is a good question, and I'm so glad that we finally have. I think it's a hard one to answer. I think the truth is that, you know, we early on in the UK, it's not the reason why we've had success in Brazil, but the reason why we broke early on was we had these kind of, you know, 60s inspired, you know, pop songs with lots of harmonies, and it was really big for us, and we had a lot of success. And then from that we had, you know, more success with that sort of similar style. And so we explored, you know, some heavier stuff on our fourth album. But you know, when you're sort of 10 years deep into it, you tend to overthink it. You know, you're sort of going, well, should we be trying to write big pop songs and, you know, stay on the radio and stay relevant, and what are the trends that are happening? And it can just dilute actually who you are as a band. And then we had a couple of years of touring with another band, and then we had a break, and then when we got back together in 2020, I just don't think we knew what kind of album to make, and we made a good one, but it wasn't definitive, and it you know, it wasn't I don't think it kind of knew what it was. And so when we came around to recording this album, it was time for that big conversation, like, who is MCFLY? Like, what do we love about being in a band? And actually, one of the most stressful things and non-enjoyable things is chasing success and trying to write hits. And so we're like, fuck it, what do we like about being in a band? And it was about playing live, playing our instruments. Why did we want to join bands in the first place? It was because of people that have inspired us, like Danny, Bruce Springsteen, and The Who, and for, you know, me and Tom, like the Beatles and Led Zeppelin and bands like that. And then 80s bands, you know, Van Halen, like AC/DC, Aerosmith, all those kind of bands, guitar bands with big melodies. And so we're like, that's the vision. This is what we need to do. And we dabbled with it in the past, but this time it was like, no, fuck it, let's go for it. And it was all about, right, forget production, forget making demos, set up the live room, guitars out, let's go. So a lot of the songs were written by, you know, guitar riffs that would start, you know, like Danny's got this awesome guitar riff. Okay, well, let's write the melody now. Or and it actually made the whole process a lot kind of simpler. And yeah, I think it worked because I love it. I mean, I'm a fan of rock music, and I think it's great. Have you heard the whole album, or
Sorry, I didn't understand you.
have you heard the whole album or just bits?
I heard the whole album, and my next question is about it because this is not just a hard rock and glam metal album. There are more pop punk oriented songs like Crash, Taking Back Tonight. How did you manage to work with such diverse influences but still sounding like McFly?
I think that I think even if we were to do a cover of a song, it'd sound like McFly because it's us playing it and it's us singing it. But I think that the studio that we for the first time ever, we've owned our own studio, and I feel like that gave us the opportunity to be a band and be a band without any time constraints. And that gave Power to Play its identity because there was drums set up constantly where Harry could go and play. There was guitar amps. There was, we weren't relying on sitting in front of a computer the whole time. We were actually going back to like, oh yeah, we need to come up with something here as a human and not rely on a cool sound from the computer. So we tried to get it organically as good as it could be going into the computer, and
Which is hard without a studio
which is hard, yeah.
Because in the past we would just hire a studio for a month and you try and get stuff done, but if you don't get it finished, you're like, okay, well we need to go back in and do drums and like the studio's maybe not quite right, the vibe's not right, but yeah, time has been the essence to this album.
And I feel like, yeah, the cohesiveness of the sound has come from the space that we did it in. The same drum kit setup, the same guitar amp setup, the same vocals, the same this. It's just a different mix and a different vibe. So yeah, sonically it gave it its color.
Nice. Well, now let's talk about one of my favorite songs from the album, Land of the Beast. It's one of the most interesting songs, I guess, because it starts out sounding like Rush, then it turns to a hard rock vibe that's more from the 70s, maybe power pop-ish, but sped up at the same time. A lot of references in between. How was the writing process for the song?
It was crazy, man. Like I honestly, I just don't know how it all came together like that. Because at first it was even more crazy, and then we had to like try and come up with a structure for it because we had all these different parts, and it was like, well, what should go where? And actually, I think we figured out the perfect structure for it. And where did the first riff come from? Was it Tom?
Yeah, Tom and Dougie were upstairs playing it around, and we were recording drums down here.
Yeah.
And I ran upstairs and I pretended to be Bruce Dickinson from Iron Maiden. And I was like, oh my God, that sounds like Into the Land of the Beast, Frozen and Free. And then Tom and Dougie started laughing, going, that's pretty good. And then we couldn't get Land of the Bees out of our heads. That was the title of the song. Like we just called it Land of the Bees, and that was it. And then we brought it down here and we just started playing it. And that's the beauty of this space. Like again, having a recordable drum kit setup, a recordable bass setup, a recordable guitar setup. We just started working on it.
Well, then also that higher melody came in, and it was like, that was like, oh yeah, that's cool, higher, higher. It's like, oh, where could that fits in well after that? And then I think you had that riff, and it was like, oh, okay, that's cool. And it just kind of came together really well. And then like that halftime 7/8 section, I mean, the guys were upstairs playing the riff in halftime, and I was like, oh, what if it went like this and went in sort of 7, and they were like, oh yeah, that's cool. And I was like, I can't believe we're fucking doing this. Like I've wanted to do this and explore this kind of thing for so long as a band, but we've never given ourselves license to. And I think yeah, it's really exciting to have these as our songs.
It's the first different time signature I think McFly's ever had.
There's been a couple of sports.
Yeah, I told you guys my favorite song from the record. Now I want to hear it from you. What is your favorite song from the album?
I think my favorite is also Land of the Bees.
Yeah,
I really do. I think I also I really love the songs on the album. I also think Honey I'm Home is a very special song. I love the song Forever's Not Enough as well. I mean, I genuinely love all of them, but I think maybe those three probably, if I had to. I mean, we had played the songs to press last night, and we picked 5 to play to them, and we chose Land of the Bees, Forever's Not Enough, Honey, I'm Home, Taking Back Tonight, and Route 55.
Yeah.
Yeah, Line of the Bees is the most fun to play. I'm really looking forward to playing Shine On as well. I think Shine On will be a good one.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, my last question, unfortunately, but at the same time we're talking about how good this album is, I need to say this as I consider it a great injustice. Here in Brazil, many fans complained about the first singles, perhaps because they were the most hard rock songs from the album. What can you say to those fans who didn't like these 2 new singles to convince them to listen to the whole album?
I think God of Rock and Roll is still essentially a pop song, you know, but we wanted to make a statement with Where Did All the Guitars Go. There's definitely some flavors on there for people who like more of our pop stuff. But yeah, just trust it. Just trust us. Go with it, and just trust the process, guys.